Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Lyric, and I am the creator of 15 Minutes with Dad. This is the healing series, and you guys are healing with me. We've healed with a couple other people, but this time I felt like the platform needed me to heal so that you guys can connect, right? And so in the last couple episodes, I've talked about how I have been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder and how this healing series is using that as a beacon to drive through my healing, because I didn't really know what my healing journey was until a little bit before this diagnosis, because I pre-diagnosed myself, then I got it confirmed by psychiatrists. And so this is that journey, and thank you guys for joining me. And today we're going to talk about how it impacts my relationship and how it impacts relationships in my life and how I navigate those relationships pre and post diagnosis. So thank you guys for tuning in. See you in a second. And welcome back, you all. This is 15 Minutes with Dad. My name is Lyric, and we are healing with your boy Lyric. And so let's get into it. We're going to talk about how borderline personality disorder, people pleasing, has impacted my relationships, my past relationships, and current relationships. And I think that some of you can attest to this. And bear with me if I look like I'm unhinged and all this different stuff, is because I am talking about something in a therapeutic way with the idea that people are going to connect with it. So bear with me if I seem a little pulled back, unhinged, et cetera, et cetera. So here we are. So if you haven't learned if you don't know what borderline personality disorder is, please go research it. And if you want to know where my borderline personality disorder is stemmed into, you can go and look at the past episodes. I'll put a link to the trauma that has fueled my my diagnosis. I'll put the comment at the top here so you can go back and watch it. But relationships. So I have had a weird way about building relationships with people in a way that keeps me safe and to keep me from really needing people. And I'll explain it a little bit more. As a people pleaser, highly sensitive person, I am capable of understanding what people need and being that thing. And if you watched the video prior to this about how I had to figure out as a child, figure out how to be in order to be loved or feel loved, that I perceived as love from my grandmother, in order for me to feel loved, I had to figure out how to be on a molecular level to not get a whooping, or not get beat, or to not get smacked, or to not be at the end of her rage or her week-long mania. Like, I had to figure out how to navigate that. And so I built my relationships with friends because growing up, like I mentioned there as well, I was bullied a lot. So I didn't have childhood friends. I had people that maybe were friends with me because they needed something from me, but after that need was gone, that was no longer their friend. They became the bullier. I've had situations where, people were my friends until I did something that, I told them the truth or something, and then they would just like ghost me or something. Like, I've had those kind of relationships. So I've learned how to build relationships with people that don't require me to become as intimate as friendships would require, or relationships would require. And so let's talk about friendships first. I have some really good friends, some brothers even, and they can probably attest to this, that they know that they can call me at the drop of a dime. I'm a dependable friend. They know that if I have it, it's theirs. If they, even female friends, the same way. Like, if they need something and they like, yo, Lyric would know how to do this, or Lyric would know this thing. Like, like I have a friend who calls me, who's been calling me throughout the years about relationships, about all these different things, about how to fix this. Maybe do I understand this piece of thing like that? Like my friends call me for this stuff. And that fulfills me as a friend. And I'm going to tell you how I like in a few about an epiphany I had on how it's not a good thing the way that I do this, but I'm going to tell you what I do. My friendships are deep to me, but I build relationships where I don't need my friends. Let me say that again. I build safe relationships with my friends where I don't need them, so that if I upset them and they don't want to talk to me, or they want to ghost me, or they are displeased with me, or they reject me, I'll still have some form of dignity attached to myself. It's my safe way to build relationships. And what I've learned, this is the epiphany that I've had in therapy, was that people like to help people, but I will need something. I'll be suffering. And maybe I have a friend that could help out, but I would be remiss to go and ask them for support. And it's almost sad because I would have to literally be on my absolute last limb of life, and I usually disappear from my friends in those moments. They usually see me when I'm good. I disappear from the world, from people in that moment. And my friends don't know anything that's going on, but they know when I'm talking to them, like, hey, I'll tell them like, oh, yo, I was going through some stuff. I'm good now. But like, yo, like I don't reach out to them. Let's talk about why I don't reach out to them. I don't reach out to them because I truly, in my heart, believe that my needs don't matter. That I'm a friend to people. I'm a friend to people for them. Right? That's one. Probably a red flag. Two, I don't know how to voice my needs. I don't know how to say, hey, I don't like that you're doing that. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to be around it. I'm gone. I will literally just not talk to you. Instead of saying what I need that could be possibly fixed and we'll be good. But I don't say it. I just disappear. And the last one is that if I was to voice my needs, I truly, to my heart, do not feel that my needs will be met. Because as a child, I've never had my needs met. Never had my needs met. I never felt I had a safe space to voice my needs. Never. There was never a place where I felt that I could voice my needs and they would be met. Right? And so that's friendships. That's on a very basic level. And I love my friends, right? And I'm going to work on being more vulnerable to my friends and trusting them with my needs, or trusting them with my feelings and my emotions. But that's a journey that I'm on. And so I hope that you, if my friends, if you're watching this and you feel upset, I apologize and I will do better. I'm working on it. I will be more deliberate about my actions. That's what I'm working on, being deliberate about my relationships and spending that time. Even when I'm upset and I'm not feeling my best, feeling depressed, I'm going to spend time with my friends because that's going to make me feel better. I don't think I've ever depended on my friends to help me through. They mostly see me on my last leg and say, Lyric, let me just take this. Here's this. And I love those friends, right? But why should my friends work so hard to be my friend? To feel like they are a part of my life. Why should they work so hard? Let's go to relationships. So in relationships, I tend to build safe relationships. I think that pre-intimacy. So pre-intimacy of this relationship, I'm very like, yo, I'm intolerant of some things. Oh, that's gonna trigger me. I don't want to deal with it. I'm out. Or before past relationships was. Let's talk about past first. Past relationships, I would meet females, get close to them, right? Love how it's feeling, be passionate with them, and then when they express emotionally in a way that triggers me, if they express their emotions, their upsetness with me, I'm no longer perfect. I'm no longer good. I'm no longer lovable in their eyes. I disappeared. And if you're watching this, you can attest to this. If you know me at that level, that when when they expressed themselves, maybe they expressed themselves in an emotional way that was not said in a way that was untriggering. I don't know how to explain it, because I think it's like people express the way that express, but when it's expressed with, I can't understand when when your needs are bottled with anger, right? I can or an emotion is bottled. If your needs are bottled into an emotional reaction, which is a human thing, right? Like either that or you're going to express it in a logical fashion, which is not a thing that I've learned over time. Women do not do that on a very often basis, but and so that's what my relationships were, and I found myself in positions where either I no longer felt good, worthy of love. Even if they felt that I was worthy, they probably talking to me like, yo, like, what's up? Why you seem like you giving up on yourself? Why are you not trying? Why you looking like you not doing stuff? Or why you doing this so much? Or like, like, why aren't you giving me this? And I need this from you. I handled it terribly. I went into this thing called freeze mode, where I act as, or I feel as if I don't say anything, if I don't react, that they can't see me or something. Like they can't um reject. I and then I would shift into like this fawn mode to where, okay, well, if you're upset, just tell me what you need and I'm gonna do it. And in fact, I think that there was like this balance of them also asking, what do you need? And I could never express to them what I needed. And anytime a female was like, yo, I'm like, I don't need this. Like, I'm leaving. I don't want to be in a relationship like this. I'm like, well, hell, shit. I was born by myself. I die by myself. When in reality, that's my scapegoat, because now I don't have to engage with my emotions and my trauma or my triggers to love you or to be loved by you. So that's past emotions, and I've caused so much trauma and depression in my depression state, but I've caused also, like, I'm sure that I've engaged with women that I've triggered them, even my partner, my current girlfriend. I've triggered her. I've triggered, women because I isolate. I go and like, okay, if you're gonna be mad, I'm gonna let you be mad, and I'm gonna go and sit over here until you finish getting upset, rather than talking to the thing. So it's like freezing, avoiding, but then waiting till they get calmed down so they can talk and have a conversation, which is some healthy parts in it. But I'll tell you, it's kind of unhealthy the way that I do it. And so that is relationships. That's like my intimate relationships. And it wasn't until my relationships, like I was talking about pre-intimacy, it's when the intimacy moment comes that my triggers are more triggerable. I talked about how Jeezy had an interview that discussed how intimacy is the doorway to your trauma. Like, you don't really know how triggered you are, how traumatized you are. Like, I wouldn't even be on this journey under talking about borderline personality disorder if I wasn't in an intimate relationship, because I thought I was good. I was single. I was good. I was just a dad, right? And I would be triggered by my daughter, but that was manageable. We both were kind of like navigating mental health. So we're like, all right, we were trying to understand how to not trigger each other, right? Which is not the thing to do. If you're living a life where you're trying to do things to not trigger the other person, y'all are going about it wrong. And so when I got into this relationship, when I get in the post intimacy side, I seen my flaws so much, because there's this person that has needs, and I'm thinking I understand their needs, but I really don't, because I'm not really addressing their needs. I'm addressing the needs that I perceive that would make me feel needed. And when I got to these stages where it was expressed that I wasn't needed for this thing, or I was no longer needed, or like there was like, they're good now, everybody's healed, everybody's great. Now I'm like, who am I now? And I felt empty. I felt used. I felt like thrown away piece of trash. And the deeper you get into this intimacy, the more propensity you have to get triggered. Like, I was at a point recently where like, I'm having talks with my family, like, yo guys, I feel like I'm unappreciated. Like, or when I tell you guys no, y'all get upset and y'all take away the love from me. That's what I feel. And I was putting that onto them as it's a them problem. Until I had a conversation with my girlfriend. I was post argument. We were trying to figure out what each other needed, and we were expressing our needs, and I was explaining about a situation on how I felt, because I was able to get the words together, and I was explaining, and mid explaining this situation, it connected all these other situations at the same time, because I said, I felt like I didn't deserve love. Like, you guys, like, I shouldn't be loved, or I was like, worthless to you at this point because I made a mistake. And she was like, no, I was just walking upstairs. I was just going to do this thing. Like, I wasn't attempting to make you feel that way. I was just going upstairs because I needed to go and take care of something. And I was like, yo, you just walked away from me. And so in that moment, I realized it was my trigger. And so my relationship, even this relationship, has been built on this navigating or around triggers or being triggered. And this is what borderline personality disorder is. It's like your partner's walking on eggshells. They don't know how to really help you. Like, they don't know what triggers you, what doesn't trigger you. And you guys are going up and down through this roller coaster consistently. And you don't know where it will end, and that's what my intimate relationship has been, and it's been tremendously better now that I'm understanding myself so much more in so many different ways, and I can explain, and I have words to explain how I do things, because I can connect it all the way down to my childhood. So that's why I'm able to have this conversation with you guys. Now let's talk about the relationship as a father. And I've talked to Mariah about this, and how has she seen evidence of these things that I do, as a father throughout her life. And sure enough, yeah, it is. I've, maybe not hey, you have to walk on eggs and pins and needles, but I think she feels like she understands that, or she feels like my emotions are the way that I react to her emotions. It's borderline codependency, right? Like, if I say something and it upsets her, like, I tell her no. I tell her no all the time. I still got to do it, but I tell her no, and she gets upset, and she may give me the silent treatment, or like be upset. Things that regular teenagers do, right? Like, they're like, oh, I'm upset with my dad, blah, blah, blah. I take that as like, my daughter don't love me anymore. I'm a worse father. She doesn't want to be with me. She hates me. Like, I take it up and down the barrel, right? And I think that a lot of fathers do when we think about how we've engaged with our kids over time. And some of us haven't talked to our kids in years because we feel like they don't love us. They don't want to talk to us. They don't deal with us. So I guess we're going to have to go out our life. And we try to pull up this wall in order to keep from hurting about the thing because it's harder to kind of go through it. But I would argue that you got to work through that accountability and that mental health part so that you can build that relationship better with your children and navigate their emotions and trauma you've caused them. Because it's not about you and the mother's relationships. It's sometimes about you as a father to them, you know? And so I've understood that how I emotionally attach myself to the people that I'm intimate with or that I love and how it's not easy for them to navigate this thing or feeling like I'm always upset about something or I find some reason to be upset. I don't, you know, hit my daughter. I don't hit kids. I don't like abuse them and all that stuff. But, what I will say is that the idea that their emotions are tied to your emotions is traumatic in itself. And so I'm working on that with my daughter on how to navigate that. But I feel like I've caused her trauma in that regard, by her having to figure out how to navigate the world without upsetting me. And that's difficult. So, guys, this is hard. This journey is hard and we have some time to go. You're going to learn about so I've told you guys that I'm in therapy. I'm going first through EMDR therapy, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing, which is specific for patients with PTSD, traumatic BPD. And then I'm doing dialectical behavior therapy as well. And so I'm going to be talking about some of those tools over time with these episodes and talking about how the growth and how the feelings and what's happening and how it works. We're going to talk about how these different things have impacted what I do with the community, how it impacts my work, my communication style. So far, we've talked about relationship, we talked about the trauma, and we've talked about what BPD is or borderline personality is. So if you haven't watched that, make sure you go check out these episodes on 15 Minutes with Dad Healing Series. Make sure that you guys tune in again for my next episode. I'm going to go and take a cold shower and get my emotions back stable. I love you guys. Love, peace, and chicken grease. Thank you all for tuning in. Make sure you subscribe, like this channel, and make sure that you share it with your friends if you feel like other people can really use this information. So love you. Love, peace, chicken grease. Y'all take care.
If you enjoyed your experience, make sure you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Make sure to turn on your notifications so that you don't miss another episode. You can like and share us on Instagram or TikTok at 15 Minutes with Dad. And remember, 15 minutes is a short time, but better than no time. Spend it with someone that you love.